Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen after the credits on this one. Whew. Yeah, because this ending. I'm kind of sad that I didn't look this ending up after I got the first one done. But I kind of thought that both endings would be gotten once I chose to side against Adam in the second ending that I got. But hey, I got the platinum, so that was what I was going for. But this seems like this is like a downer ending for getting the platinum, unfortunately. But still, I like that there's that variety in the endings. I really do. I appreciate that they have, both an uplifting ending and then this one that's such a crushing ending. The one that's in the middle, that one was, like I said, just disappointing. Like I didn't quite. I mean, I don't even quite understand what happened at the very end. I was just hoping that there'd be more after that one. But who knows? Maybe they'll explore that more in DLC in the future or something like that. Because I've also heard that there's hints of like a sequel to this. So I'm really super hoping. If they do a sequel, I mean, this definitely seems like a definitive ending. So I hope that if they do a sequel, they don't do a The Last of Us 2, where they just completely wreck everything. Well, not everything, but I mean, do some things that don't really work within the characters and the lore. I mean, they were The Last of Us 2 worked within the lore, I'd say, but it didn't work within the characters that they had created, and it kind of there were better ways to do it. I'll just say that, rather than going into my long spiel about how things could have been done better with The Last of Us Part 2. But let's stay on Stellar Blade. Yeah, so if they happen to do a sequel, I hope that they go the canon ending with it being you side with Adam. You actually take his hand. Because that one is, I think, the best one. It has the best outcome for Zion, has the best outcome for Lily. Well, when you don't do this, I guess. But yeah, the one where everybody survives, and then just Eve decimates a bunch of the Androidos, that were coming down the airborne from Mother Sphere. But like I said, I kind of hope that they don't do a sequel to this, just because it's good the way it is, and I could see them maybe trying to add to the story and whatnot, or add something to the ending. But wow, that ended weird. But yeah, I really. Most of me hopes they don't make a sequel. Another part of me hopes they make a sequel and do it very well, but that can be very difficult to do because a lot of sequels are hard to do because you already know all the characters. You've already gone through a full story arc, and the plot has gone all the way through its paces, and character arcs have gone through theirs, so it can be difficult to pick up from there. And I mean, in what I hope is the canon ending, where Eve sides with Adam, but Lily survives, and so does a whole bunch of people in Zion. Eve's already super powered, so there would have to be something I could see them doing this here. Just a brainstorm here, and again, this is one of the reasons why I have the channel, is to do brainstorming stuff. I could see maybe Mother Sphere in the background has been making not necessarily copies of herself, but variants of herself that are very similar to what we've been running into with the alpha natives. Or an alpha nativa, again, however you want to pronounce it. I pronounce it native because that's technically how it would be Englishized. But I could see that happening, and maybe like you're going amongst the colony, and meeting people in the colony, and fighting, airborne people, or maybe Mother Sphere. And if you're listening to this, Shift Up, feel free to steal all these ideas, by the way, because I think this would be really good, now that I thought about it. And yeah, I know it's my idea, so I think it's really cool, but this does seem to fit well. Like, let's say, that Mother Sphere was coming up with multiple ways, like multiple contingencies, because Mother Sphere is supposed to be very logical, and bereft of emotion. So what could be happening was she was making not necessarily like counterparts to, but counters to all of the alpha natives. So it might be somewhat derivative to do this, or there's some way in which Mother Sphere was paying attention or spying on, or getting information about the alpha natives. So one way that she was trying to, or it, I guess I should say, because it's not a she really. Neither is Eve, I guess, but regardless. Alright, let's see what happens if there's an after credit scene. I'll continue on with that. Oh, her journey does not end. Oh, that's interesting. So, it's not there, because everyone else is gone. Sheesh, once again, super depressing ending. Wow. Well done in making a very depressing ending, and it hurting. That was well done. Shift Up. So I'll end off with my thoughts on how they could potentially do a sequel, because Mother Sphere is still out there. There's probably still more Airborne out there, and like I said, I could see Mother Sphere trying to come up with multiple contingencies on how to eliminate the natives, the Natiba. So one way of doing that, and probably the easiest, was just to keep on making Androidos and just throwing them at the natives, Natiba. And Eve, and again, I still don't completely understand how the Eve protocol fits in, and maybe they'd be able to answer that in the sequel, if they do make a sequel. Or again, maybe a DLC, because they could. They could probably complete what I'm talking about in just a DLC. I'd love a full game though. I don't know if they could make it into a full game though. So what this would entail is Mother Sphere in the background, unbeknownst to everyone in the colony, was making mechanical monsters essentially. As a contingency plan to fight the natives if the Eve protocol didn't work, and maybe there's some other protocol that would be referred to as that Mother Sphere would refer to it as, or something like that. And this would only come to light as Eve starts to go to try and make it to the colony, because right now she's on the ground, so she has to come up with some way to get to the colony. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering correctly, I remember reading about rockets that they were making in Zion. So there's already something in the lore where they were trying to find, I think it was like kerosene or something, I can't remember what it was. It's some vague memory that I have of reading some of the lore. So maybe that's the beginning of the game, is her still being on Earth, and maybe trying to find some way to make the natives work for her, like Eve making them work the natives work for her, and there's some kind of a peace that's starting to happen amongst the actual organic humans that are just natives now, and the Androidos. Maybe there's even some side plot thing of like them trying to reverse engineer or turn the natives back into what humans used to be, or something along those lines, to make like a third version of humanity or something along those lines. So again, that could be something that would be rather interesting to have out there. So yeah, that could be part of the first part of the game, and then constructing the rocket with the help of the natives and the Androidos, and maybe maybe they're even starting to like reverse engineer some of those Natiba natives, and there are some of them around as well, and they're the ones that Eve is able to communicate more easily to, and then those new like humans 3.0 or something are able to then communicate better with the natives, and that could even be something that happens later on. That's like an upgrade you get, that you're able to then talk to these guys, and they're able to then prevent the current natives from attacking you anymore. So then once you essentially conquer the planet, you're able to use all the forces of everybody, the natives and the android Eidos, and now the humans 3.0 to construct a rocket to get to the colony. By then, and that could actually work really well. Sorry, as I'm brainstorming, I'm getting other ideas. What could work really well then also is now, so Mother Sphere I still like the idea of Mother Sphere having a contingency plan to fight the alpha natives, and then in the background, completely unbeknownst to everyone again, and this comes much later on in the game. Now, Mother Sphere has been coming up with contingencies on how to defeat Eve. This new version of Eve. So once you then go through and you defeat all of the let's call them anti-natives or anti-alpha natives, or anti-alpha natiba or whatever. Once you go through all of them that are kind of somewhat derivative, I'd probably say of the fights that we initially had. You'd have like an Abaddon counter. You'd have maybe a Belial counter. You'd have a Gigas or whatever, Gigas, however it's pronounced, I don't know, but probably Gigas. Gigas counter or something like that. That would be these big constructed like mechanical things, and there would be no organics in it at all. Nothing or well, I don't know. I suppose there could be organic stuff in there. Regardless, that's just a design thing. We won't worry about that because that's going way too deep, I think, into this game idea. But so essentially, after you get through that outer layer of Mother Sphere's contingency, then you get into now things start in earnest, where now there are things that are meant to be countering Eve. So again, it would almost be, and that could be like the 3 acts right there. First act, you're still on the planet and you get everything solved there. Second act, you make it onto the colony and you start fighting the counters to the alpha natives, and maybe even the elder native, because there's also kind of like maybe some, I don't know if they had necessarily intel on that, but it could be that. Regardless, there's some big thing at the end that you think is the end, but then the twist is, oh wait, now Mother Sphere has been working in the background ever since you've been down on the planet to try and counter you now, and then you have to essentially step it up yet again in Act 3 and are able to then make it all the way through and then defeat Mother Sphere. So again, I guess technically, I was saying I hope they don't do a game. That would actually be really fun, I think. But again, that's just my idea that I'm tossing out there. So maybe if you're watching this on YouTube, you could post your comments and or post your idea, what you think of my idea in the comments. But that's just a random idea that I had at the end of this after that depressing ending.